Hello to everyone. This is June 6th, 2024. And of course, we all know that this is D-Day. Back in June 6, 1944, so many Americans and British soldiers lost their lives storming the beaches at Normandy. You know, I would like to say this. You know, friend, those boys that went into that battle, they didn't want to be there. They wanted to be at home with their families. They wanted to be able to go places and do things like you and I do. They wanted to be able to do things. They didn't want to have to get out there. But you see, Adolf Hitler gave them no alternative. The Emperor of Japan and all the nutcases in Japan, they wasn't going to give the world peace either. They despise peaceful people. You know, it's really sad. 80 years ago. And did you know that the Nazi Party in the United States of America that Hitler sent over here, they got their American citizenship and they went into the Democrat Party. You can study it. It's history. They've even got channels on YouTube. You can watch the American Nazis giving demonstrations back in the 1930s in the streets of the United States of America. They had little American boys walking around doing that goose stomp, and they would Heil Hitler in front of the flags of the Nazis. Well, their parents, they were kind of amused at it. They didn't think anything about it. They thought it was just a club, you know. Well, it wasn't. And then when Pearl Harbor happened, 3 days later, Adolf Hitler came out and he declared war on the United States of America. And that's when everybody woke up and said, wait a minute. And they started attacking these people. And they took their sons out of that quick. That the sons didn't even want to be in it. They threw their uniforms down. And they told them, we love America. Well, the Nazis didn't care. They went in the Democrat government. And they've been in there for 80 years. And they've spread out all through the United States of America. They are in every area of our government. They're in city government, district attorneys, your judges. They're Democrats. Check it out, people. Check it out. And they have an agenda, and that's to overthrow the United States of America from within. That was what Hitler sent them here for. And they've been working at it steadily for years. You know, our president, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, and his brother was murdered by these people that had infiltrated our government. They did all this, and they have been steadily destroying our nation inside. But back to D-Day, 80 years ago. Can you imagine? Have you ever put yourself on that muddy beach in that sand with all that gear on, carrying your military equipment, and you get off the boat and they're firing machine guns, mowing people down, and you've got to run with a big old 80, 90-pound pack on your back, all kinds of grenades and everything else, and you've got to run. And they're hollering, get off the beach, get off the beach. So you're running as fast as you can. Everybody's running. They're being mowed down by machine guns from the Germans. They're firing mortars into them. And there's a lot of mines that they hit. And it literally blew the guts out of soldiers. I was watching earlier today, they had a thing on how when the soldiers were running off the boat, that they stepped on a mine, and when they did, it blew the guts out. And they actually caught their own guts and went down and sat down. I know that's gross, but friends, that's war. And that's what happened on D-Day. And even worse things than that happened to those poor boys that hit those beaches. Why? Why did our boys have to hit those beaches? because of the insanity of Adolf Hitler and the insanity of his people worshiping him as God and swearing complete allegiance to a person that should have been put in an insane asylum. He was a mental patient. He was out of his mind. Hitler was a lunatic. So was the people of Japan. They worshiped Buddha with a statue with a pot belly. They're idol worshippers. And they declared their emperor as God. So they worshiped him. And they went out to start killing and murdering innocent, unarmed people. They started bombing cities, Beijing, you know, all those areas. In China, oh, it's horrible what they did in Manchuria. They took them young boys out there, dragged them by the hair of their heads, made them sit down right there and blew their brains out. They were doing it for their God, their emperor. They were doing it for Japan. Just like the Germans. They were murdering innocent people. Why? They were doing it for Hitler. He was their God. I tell you, it's really sad, people. It really, really is. You know, I was hearing about a family that lived in Normandy when the Americans come in to the shores and the battle began, but over 100 soldiers had come to their house and took their house over. They took furniture out, they took valuables out, they took anything they wanted to take out, and you couldn't stop them. You couldn't stop them. I mean, you know, you couldn't do it. So they were armed and you weren't. So what are you going to do? So it's just really sad to hear all these accounts and things of how people suffered, the French people of France that suffered when all those soldiers came in there and took over and built all those fortifications. And they took over people's homes and houses, and they helped themselves to the female population whenever they wanted to. And there was nothing anybody could do to stop them for fear of execution. You know, because they'd shoot them. It's just the way it was. D-Day means a lot. D-Day means a lot. And when you look at today, they were talking on the news about Joe Biden has just granted amnesty to 300,000 illegal aliens that poured across the border. I knew that they would start doing this before the election because, you see, that's why they're bringing all these people in to overthrow our nation from within, because he is of the fascist party. They all are. Look what the Clintons did. They shut down our manufacturing. They sent it to China and they sent it to Mexico. They do not want America being great again and producing arms to supply the world like we did in World War II. The British and the Russians, we supplied them. And it was their full sworn intention to eliminate all industry in the United States of America and to get us where that we had to depend on someone else. China. That's why the Democrats have given the Chinese most favored nation status. You can't buy American-made goods. You got to buy Chinese because they said you do. Why? Because they're making hundreds of millions of dollars a year from the Chinese party. They're paying them off. And they take bribes. So here we are, people. 80 years later, June 6th, 2024, we're facing a coming election with people that refuse to give up power. They refuse to give up their power. What does that mean in the coming days ahead for each and every one of us? I'll leave it up to your imagination. You have your opinion, I have mine. All I can say is, God help America. all those boys, remember them, all those men that died needlessly on those horribly wet, muddy, murky, cold beaches in Normandy, France. They wanted to be at home. They wanted to be happy. Instead, they were killed. Well, listen, hit the like channel, the like button, and subscribe to my channel. This is Grandpa Hickory. And you have a good day. Please remember the fallen, all the precious men that died on D-Day, June 6, 1944. I'll see you on the next video. You have a good day.